Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about coffee ground bedding. A lot of people use that in their brooders, and I tried it out just to see how it was, and I thought it was pretty good actually. I'm not going to make you wait till the end. I think it's great for chicks. I think it's terrible for ducks, and that's pretty much the gist of it. I'll give you a rundown of the benefits and stuff later on throughout the video, but this is the stuff I'm talking about. It's called, I don't know, grounds bedding. It's just recycled coffee beans. By recycled, I mean they get all the caffeine out of them, so there's no worry of your chicks eating this stuff and, like, you know, getting all amped up on caffeine. It's pretty good. It's like I don't know, 12 bucks a bag. It's not cheap. You know, you're gonna go a lot farther with pine shavings. There's nothing wrong with pine shavings at all. The only problem with pine shavings is they create a lot of dust. So if you want, you know, if you keep these like indoors or in a garage, for instance, like this, you get a lot of dust kick up. You get a lot of dust kick up around freezers and refrigerators. That's kind of a problem. You need to clean those out in the regular. Plus, you get your stuff just covered in dust. For instance, this is my kid's side by side. I'm gonna lick my finger and I'm gonna rub it here, and you get, that's just dust, right? Now that's been like that for a while. We just switched over to the coffee grounds recently. I did notice less dust. I did like wipe a spot, and then just to see how much dust kind of came up on there, and it wasn't as much, but it's, you know, it's something. So I'm gonna show you guys how to use this stuff. I actually got a bunch of chicks in the brooder right now, 150 of them. Well, not chicks, but eggs. So we got 50 of them hatching out here in a couple days. And then I got, you know, I'm gonna need them to be in here. So the stuff is easy to use. Let's go ahead and dump it in here. It smells great as well. Now this is my brooder. I cleaned it out. So I had ducks in here, and I used the coffee ground bedding. And the problem with ducks is they splash a lot of water. No matter what kind of safety catchment system you have for water, they're still going to be covered in water, and they're going to get it everywhere. When they get water on top of the coffee grounds, they create like a hard crust of coffee grounds, you know, like from your coffee pot. And what happens with that is it dries, it hardens, and then it creates just basically like a ground for them to, you know, lay their manure on, and then it has nowhere to go. Now with chicks, they're constantly moving and scratching, and they're not wet. You know, that's the best part. And it's almost acts like kitty litter, but better, because you don't really need to clean it. Now, some people do, and you can do that, you know, if you choose to. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not gonna waste my time doing that. It's perfectly fine as is. So this stuff, they have like strings on here, and I don't know if you can pull them. Let's try. It doesn't seem like a typical feed bag where you can pull the string. So I'm just gonna cut into this stuff. Now, the problem with these bags is they're made out of paper, which means they bust open pretty easily, which means coffee grounds everywhere. So be careful they're not like the plastic stuff that the feed comes in. And this is what the stuff looks like. It's just coffee grounds, you know, nothing. Smells great. But we're gonna go ahead and put this in here. I'm gonna put a bag and then add more as needed. You don't need much, just a thin layer to start with. Be perfectly fine. Now I'm gonna show you guys how I set my brooder up so you can get an idea. I made this thing a while ago. I'll put a link in the up here in the video so you can see how to make it. Now I've modified it since then, but it's basically just a 4x8 box. That's 2 foot tall. Pretty simple, right? I made a water catchment system when I had those ducks, and I think it's going to work out great for chickens. Now what I did was I got a bin, and then I built a frame around that bin. The frame is just made out of 2x4s, ripped down and stuff like that. Nothing major. It's just 2x4s and then some 1/4 inch hardware cloth. And what I do is I set my water right on top of here, and then, you know, as it's good, it's kind of okay for ducks. This thing fills up pretty fast because they waste a lot of water, and you'll see that. Now, if you don't have something like this and you have ducks, they'll flood this whole thing out. Whatever water you put in here in a day, they'll get it all out because they want to play in it. I like using heat plates. I think they're much more safer than heat lamps, and they do a pretty good job, and you can adjust them. What I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna adjust some legs. I'm gonna adjust the back legs and have it at an angle, and I like to do it this way because it gives it more room for chicks to be able to go in there and get closer to the heat. Something like that. You can do it any way you want, but it's at an angle so that the smaller chicks can get to this side, the bigger chicks to that side. So right now I have these chicks in here. There's not that many, maybe like 10 of them, and they're all different ages. There's smaller ones, bigger ones. I'm gonna transfer them over to this one because it's big, and you don't want day olds in something this big. They'll just they won't be able to find the heat, and they'll get lost and die. So that's the gist of it. I mean, these guys are gonna have a really big house for a couple of weeks, and that's fine. There's nothing, you know, once they're this size, you don't have to worry about them like not being able to find the heat. They'll be able to find it. So heat plate, feed, water system. Now I need to fill up that water. This is just I just wanted to show you guys the gist of it. But they can fly up there, or they can jump up here and walk up here. And what happens is if water spills out for whatever reason, it goes in that bucket, that bin. So that's how that is, okay? Now, over here, this is what the coffee ground bedding looks like. Now it's covered in feed and manure. Now I haven't changed this out. This was like a half a bag of this coffee ground stuff, and it's covered in feed, as you can see, but it's mixed with manure and feed. You can see the coffee grounds in there, but you can also see a lot of feed mixed in here. So what happens with the feed is they get down, and it turns to dust, like a lot of it does, so they just kind of move it out of the way and go for the better stuff. And you can see manure in here, like there's a lot of manure, and that's fine. It's all dry. That's the thing. It's almost like kitty litter here. So, and this stuff is still fine. You can still use this. This isn't bad. I could reuse this. Now what I'm going to do is, since I'm getting a brand new batch of chicks in here, I don't want them on top of another batch of different chick manure. You know, I just don't think that that's healthy, and I don't want to do that. But what I'll do with this stuff is I'll probably just dump it in the compost pile. And like I said, this is like $6 worth of bedding that lasted me a few, like two months at least, or a month and a half, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, there's poop in here, right? I mean, I'm gonna wash my hands before I eat, obviously. But this is what, this is what it is. Now, like I said, this is definitely still useful. I can toss it in there and be fine. I'm not going to, but I'm thinking about it. Here's another heat plate. These things work pretty well. See how it's angled at one side? The things are popped up here. And I use bricks for like getting their water off the ground and like feed off the ground. That way they're not on the ground all the time trying to because they'll make a mess of it, especially with the water. It's getting dark here. That's why it's kind of the video is kind of dark, but now you can see. Now I just put a couple hinge doors on here because these chicks will fly out. They're old enough. Those bigger ones, they're probably about 2 months old. They're old enough to hop out of there and start flying, so I got to shut this. And that's what it looks like. Now I like to raise the smaller chicks up in this stuff. Actually, you know what? I do have some coffee ground bedding that ducks used in the beginning, and I'll give you an idea of the difference here. Now I haven't cleaned this out yet. I just haven't had time. We just went through like a winter freeze type deal. So let me try to get some more light in here. All right, there we go. So this ducks use this, and you can see where the bricks were. It's a crust, right? That is not the same. Underneath it is all fine. It's all, down here. It's coffee ground bedding. It gets moldy too. So that is a crust. That's not something you want to be putting your fingers in, right? You can see that. Now there was I threw some wood chips in here on top of it because it was getting too wet and muddy. And it was disgusting smelling. So again, don't use this for ducks. Very bad idea. Very bad. Wood shavings is probably best, and then some kind of like a duck water would probably be best for that. Now I'm going to dump this out today or tomorrow, and I'll clean it out make sure it's nice and clean before I put more chicks in here. But what I was saying is we'd like to use these feed bins, or these water bins, as feeders. They're very nice. They hold heat because they're metal. If you have a heat lamp like this, now you can see the dust here again. Now this bulb went out, so I just stopped using it. But if you do have a heat lamp like this, make sure you have a chain set up. Make sure it's really set up well to not ever fall and cause a fire. These things cause a lot of fires every year. You read about them, and people burn their houses down or barns, or kill a bunch of chickens pretty much. This is another little net thing I made just in case. It's not really necessary, not all the time. But wanted to show you guys that coffee ground bedding stuff. You can get it at Tractor Supply or Rural King. You could probably order it from their website, I'm sure. Maybe not, I don't know. I'll look and see if there's a link. Otherwise, Tractor Supply, Rural King, check it out. They should have it. If not, ask them about it. They can order it. And it's like I said, 100% recycled coffee beans. And you can see how it comes out because it's just a paper bag. So you got to be careful with this stuff. You're going to have coffee grounds everywhere. Just clean it up as necessary. One thing I did notice that really kind of made me mad, I was carrying this and a bunch of coffee grounds spilled out into my pocket. And this is the pocket, like it went in here. Not these specific pants, but it went in here. And you see how my phone's like that? It's upside down, where you can see the, come on. It's hard to do this with my charging port. Well, it filled up with coffee grounds, and I didn't realize it until the night. You know, at night when I went to charge it, my charging cord wouldn't go in, so I had to get a toothpick in there and clean it out. So you know, that's a one-off thing. That's not going to happen all the time. Just know that could happen. It's not really a con, just, you know, be careful with this stuff. These guys were put in here 2 days ago, and you can see it's still pretty dry. And they're gonna make a mess, but it's still dry, you know, it's nothing. Now this is half a bag inside this typical water feeder. I got about 40 birds in here. Most of them are gonna be Morans. There's a couple of Iamsomani in here, but like I said, most are Moran. And this is what it looks like. I just wanted to show you guys. I really like this stuff. I think it's a lot better. It smells a lot better. Now they're going to mix it in their feed and water. It's going to happen. Just going to clean it out from time to time. They'll pick through it. So, well, hey, if you guys like this, let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear your stories about this coffee ground stuff. It's somewhat new. By somewhat, I mean it's been around for a while, but it's new to me. Yeah, let me know what you think about it. All right, thanks for watching.